retweet from Twitter when
Okay, yeah, and I'll
you're
put
gonna
it
be
on.
on Twitter too, right?
Yep, live on Twitter. I
Cool, man.
will. Let me. What's going on, everybody? I'm here. This is Bobby. I'm here with Ruben of Zonas Gigantes. He's in Spain. He does a Giants podcast. Like I said, Zonas Gigantes runs all their stuff. Does a great job. You've had interviews with Will Hernandez. You guys do a really good job. And I've always said, and there's people in this stream that will come up in here. I've always said the international fans are some of the most diehard fans, and they seek out stuff. Like you guys were some of my first people that I've interacted with on this, because you guys are over there and you guys are thirsty for the Giants content, because it's not you guys don't have it at your fingertips like we do. So it was pretty cool to see how much it's grown. So like we'll get some questions in a second, but Ruben, how is it like trying to cover a team from Spain, and then they play Thursday night football, and it's 3-4 o'clock in the morning over there?
Well, you have to be ready, Bobby. I mean, you have to be so passionate about the NFL, about the Giants. As you say, we cover the games from 2 in the morning and 3 in the morning. We finished at 6 in the morning the other day, the Eagles against the Giants, with this drop of Evan Engram. Oh, it was so painful. We talk out of the micro, Bobby, that how was that painful, this drop of Evan Engram. But yes, I mean, we love the Giants. It's part of our lives. We think that the NFL is growing globally. We can see that in your podcast, Bobby. It's many followers and listeners from all over the world, from Great Britain, from Europe, from Latin America. And yes, it's a reality. We interviewed today Martin Gramatica. He was Argentinian kicker for the Bucks in the 2000.
Mm-hmm.
And he said that he's astonished that how it's growing the American football around the world, that it was so happy that is a lot of fans in Spanish speaking as well, like we do the podcast, the YouTube channel. And in the end, I think it's a nice news that our sport, our loved sport, is growing around the world, and I think it's positive for all of us at the end.
Yeah, for sure. And I've said that when the Giants do go back to whether it's London or wherever, or Mexico, I'm gonna go to that. Like eventually, because the Giants are the big market, they will play back in over there eventually, I believe. And I hope they branch it out to more, because like you went and covered you covered the London games. I know this year is different because of COVID, but like you get to go and you get the media passes and stuff.
Yeah. Here, I show you in the camera.
I like it. You actually I love your background. You got the Talking Giants logo on the Giants account with that video you did with Giants Mexico and Giants Germany and stuff. That was really cool. But basically what I'm saying is I want to go to that because I feel like that is really cool. Like it changed, seeing how passionate you guys are really has changed my view of like how like these international games are, where before I kind of looked at them as kind of silly.
Yeah, you will love it, Bobby. I mean, as I told you, in London, it's kind of Super Bowl. You see, you see like people from all the teams. I saw people with the Detroit Lions jerseys. I never saw before a Detroit Lions jerseys in Spain, because it's like it's one of these teams that they don't have many supporters. And at the end, it's like a big party. These events are really, I recommend to all our listeners, all our audience, if they have the chance to go to Mexico or go to the international games in London. Is a unique experience. And in the end, I think this sport is growing so much. It's kind of the NBA in the 90s in Europe, when all the European players start to go to America. And I remember when Pau Gasol, for example, for the Lakers, the Spanish player, grew up so much the sport in Spain and also in Europe. And I think in the end, NFL is starting to get more adepts and more people that love this sport. I mean, today Barca was playing in the television. I live 2 streets from the stadium, and I didn't even care about the game. I didn't check the game. I was looking all the all the comments of Logan Ryan in the interview that he had in the channel of the Giants, and also the video of Peppers about the last game against Washington. I don't know, man. For me, Giants is only 16 games of regular season, and I want to be 100% always following the team.
I hear you. So here's a question. I'll put it up on the screen. How does Ruben watch the games? How do you guys watch the games internationally?
Good question. So we watch. We have a NFL Game Pass. It's like European version. You pay 163 euros, and you can watch in your PlayStation. You can watch in your television, in your smart TV, or you can watch it on the mobile phone. It's for 4 devices, and yeah, you can share with friends if you want. If you watch in the computer and the other one watch on the smart TV, you can share it, and it's amazing because you can watch the red zone, you can watch all the games of the team, you can watch the all 22 coach film, the one you are always doing the reviews in the channel, Bobby. And yeah, it's we love. I mean, if you look for the price, it's a lot of games, and it's only 160 euros. It's a reasonable price, and we use it a lot at the
I
end.
knew that because I have to use the illegal stream to get the videos during the game, and they all use the NFL, Game Pass, the international version, which I might just pay for that next year. I don't know if you can get it over here, but I might just end up having to pay.
Yeah, if you
Figure out a
use
way
a
to pay for that.
VPN at the end, you can use it there. I think no.
Yeah. So you mentioned Logan Ryan. We got a question. Do you agree that we should actually trade Ryan? He is playing too good for us. I'll start for a second.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't be like he has been good for us, but at the same time, he's on a 1-year deal. I
Yep.
mean, what do you think, Ruben?
I love Logan Ryan, man. I think he's a true leader. He's playing maybe the role that we don't have on Xavier McKinney. I wanna see playing together with Xavier McKinney because they can blitz, they can go to different positions, and I think Bradbury and him and also Martinez is the true leaders we need on the team that people know to tackle. We lost the last year with Shurmur and also with Betcher. We lost a lot of tackles, and in the end, I think this capacity of make tackles this year is the thing that is making us to compete till the end of the game because we are not losing terrible tackles and the rival offense is getting points so easy. I think this is our strength this year. We are doing on the basics, like Joe Judge said,
Yeah.
and I think he's a good leader for the locker room at the end. Logan Ryan.
Now look, Dave Gettleman, my favorite parody account, is in here. I want to know you because you're a pretty positive person like me.
Mhm.
You're patient. You're not like bent. You don't think you don't think you're smarter than everybody else, like a lot of people do. What do you think of Dave Gettleman? Do you think he should be fired after the year?
Man, I think the gentleman is gonna be retired or something like that because I don't know, man. I think it's too long on the league. He's a good scouter. I mean, he take good players for us. It's not that bad like people say. I mean, James Bradbury is getting him to the Giants. He was the one who was selecting him for the Panthers on the second round. I mean, he is a really good cornerback at the end for a good deal. If somebody tell us that Bradbury is going to play like this for only $10 million for a year, we're going to say he's crazy, but he's been absolutely steal for us. And also Christian McCaffrey, Saquon Barkley. I mean, at the end, he knows about talent. But I mean, he made some mistakes also about the salary cap, maybe Ogletree, these kind of players that he take on the past. I think, man, we need a new general manager, younger, maybe more in the line of Joe Judge. Maybe Nick Caserio is a good option. Maybe Dutz, the assistant manager of the Colts, is a good option too. But I think we need to renovate a little bit the front office. And Gettleman, I mean, he's really old right now, and I think it's time to give new blood and new thinking on the front office of the Giants.
For sure. Yeah, I'm kind of with you. We got asked about it today on the podcast, and I just at some point for me, it's like I have to play the results. It's like we've been bad, and like you, I don't hate Gettleman. I think he's made some good moves. I think he gets some unnecessary, like he definitely gets unnecessary hate. People make fun of him because he says he has like funny quotes and stuff. But I think at some point you just have to play the results and get some new blood in there. So I do agree with you on that. Here's one. Don't worry about it. Said edge, so defensive end or wide receiver in the draft.
I think LPG was answering this question to me the other day, and I think he's right. I think wide receiver probably now is with Jamar Chase on the draft in the next draft. He's an awesome player. I mean, if you look him, is better probably is better prospect than Odell Beckham Jr. It's more complete. At the end, he is an awesome player. He's from LSU as well, a really good school for wide receivers. And the kind of defense we're playing with Patrick Graham, I don't think we need like a dominant edge rusher. We have a lot of blitz. We have a lot of secondary players coming to the edge. Maybe Tyler McKinney and other players of the secondary, like safeties or cornerbacks, can blitz a lot or can go to the pass rush. I think Lorenzo Carter, before of the injury, he was playing really, really good. He make an upgrade. So bad he injury on the Achilles. It's a really bad injury, but
Yeah.
at the end we had a really bad luck with the injuries. And I think Fackrell is a totally steal. He's playing really, really good. I think it's that the thing that makes trade Marcus Golden, because Fackrell was playing awesome. I don't know, man. I really love Patrick Graham. I think he's doing a really nice job with the team. The defense is getting us into the compete the games at the end, and I'm totally positive with the defense and with the kind of defense that Patrick Graham want to put in the Giants.
Yeah, I love Patrick Graham. I've changed like it's funny, Ruben, and you've been keeping up with the last year. Whereas last year I liked Pat Shermer and I hated James Betcher.
Yeah.
Now this year I love the defensive
opposite.
coordinator and I hate the offensive coordinator. What I was gonna say is I kind of agree with the wide receiver. I've been saying that, but also part of me now is like there's some good wide receivers. Maybe you could get one in the second round. And if what's his face? Russo, the guy from Miami, the edge rusher. I think an edge rusher makes our defense, like if someone could get to the quarterback consistently, it just changes. It makes Graham be able to do so much more with this defense, and we've seen struggles on third down. So that's part of me. Like I said, I mean, I haven't went in the full draft mode, so
Yeah, but the question, Bobby, is who's make you be more elite in the moment? Like 1 year rookie Jamar Chase or 1 year rookie Rousseau? Because maybe the pass rush needs more evolution, no? At the end, I don't know.
Yeah. And Aiden asked this question, what free agent should we target? I think we could get a wide receiver in free agency too. I like Allen Robinson, Kenny Galladay, who I don't know a ton about, to be honest, but people like him. Hell, even Juju Smith-Schuster, I don't think he's crazy, but yeah, I mean, there could be one of those wide receivers in free agency. But I'll be honest, I haven't looked at free agency besides the wide receivers.
Yeah, I didn't check so much too because I was so focused on this year. I was so excited. Yeah. Now it's a little bit down, but I don't know, man. I think personally that the team is playing every game better and better. Not so much, but the team is growing up. And I think Joe Judge told us the other day on the press conference, it was Tuesday or Monday, that he saw an improvement of the team little by little, and he see like the team going on the right direction. I'm positive too, man. I mean, if you look the last 4 games, we lost for little bit, for 1 point or something like that. The last year with Pat Shurmur, probably the game of the Eagles, we lost for 14 points or something like that, no?
Yeah, that last game we did. I hope I get this right. Slobodan says, greetings from Serbia, another huge Giants fan. So like I said,
that's awesome, man.
From Twitter, I was like, oh, there's a lot of international fans. Now that I've been doing YouTube more, I see there's even more. There's Slobodan, more and more.
If you come to Spain one day, let me know.
So this is obviously, we talk about this anyway. Thoughts on Daniel Jones? I think me and you stand in the same boat. I like Daniel Jones a lot.
Me too, man. I mean, in NFL Spain, Twitter and stuff, they make a lot of jokes also about Daniel Jones, about the the play of the running.
Yeah.
But if you think about it, man, we didn't have this before. We didn't have a quarterback that can run, that can make plays in another parts of the field. I think he already made more yards than Eli Manning in 16 years. No, I saw on Twitter the other day. I don't know, man. I think Daniel Jones is pretty talent guy. He's really focused guy, and I really like him. At the end, we can do RPOs with him. We can do many things with Daniel Jones. And as I saw last year in the first game against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, the next rival we have, he's something special, man. I mean, this capacity to take the team on his shoulders and try to compete and try to win every game. I think not many guys on the college level can do that arriving to the NFL.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. Now the Chris Mickle, who's one of our most loyal listeners, he says they make jokes about Danny here too. That was one of those ones like, oh gosh, this is gonna be bad. This is gonna be brutal. And like I was watching one of my favorite YouTube accounts, the QB School, and he was doing a live stream, and someone asked him about Jones, and he's like, "Man, that's rough." He's like, "That could be the play that like he gets remembered for his career on primetime." He's like, "There's some plays where it's like that is just who you get remembered as." And obviously, if Jones has an awesome career, that that goes away. But if Jones is someone who flames out in a couple of years, that will be like when people think of Daniel Jones 20 years from now, they'll think about him following on an 80-yard run on Thursday Night Football.
Yeah, that's true, man. I mean, in the end, if it's that easy to make a touchdown like this, why no one could make it from 2015 when it was Mariota of 90 yards? If it's that easy to make that, if it's that easy run for 80 yards as a QB, why nobody make it? I mean, it's an amazing play if you think about it.
I knew he was fast, but the fastest QB, like I didn't realize
like Tyreek Hill.
I know, it's crazy. It's crazy. Like DK Metcalf was only running like a mile per hour faster on his run. Like and Jones had the ball in his hand compared to
exactly, and the cadence of his legs. He's really athletic guy.
How do you feel about Andrew Thomas?
Oh man, I start like really convinced with your videos. I recommend the videos of Bobby if you didn't watch about the O-line. He's a former tackle, so he knows what he's talking about.
Not really. I don't really know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, man. Come on. You played in Minnesota as a tackle, man.
I know.
So I think Bobby, he's getting like maybe this, like they say in the NBA, when the rookies have this down level, no, in November or December. I don't know the name in English exactly.
Slump.
Slump, exactly. The rookie slump. I think maybe Andrew Thomas is having the rookie slump. Also, he had like the weeks before, he had the problem of the Joe Judge say public that he didn't play because he was arrived on the meeting. These things for a rookie sometimes in his mind, I don't know, maybe he's losing a little bit of focus on the game and start. But I think I'm hoping that after 2 or 3 games, he's gonna be like in the best level that he can be. At the end, tackle is the left tackle on this league. Being rookie is not that easy. At the end, we watch like Wirfs. Well, Wirfs is playing right tackle, but Beckham is having several problems with the Jets as well. I don't know, man. It's not easy to play left tackle. You know that.
Yeah, Beckham. Now he was injured for a while, and I just put out the video today. Like Beckham and Will, they've all been better than Thomas, which you know me. Like it bothers me, one, because we drafted him, but two, like I loved Andrew Thomas, and it makes me feel dumb because everyone was telling me like, no, this guy's the number one. I was like, I really think Thomas is the one, and I still am holding out hope. You know what I'm saying? And I also don't like. I try to not get too caught up on what I think. Like at the end of the day, I'm a nobody.
Wow, you know about the sport, man.
Yeah, I know, but it's like compared to like other people, it's like I don't know.
At least you played the game, man.
Yeah, I know. You like to gas me up. I like it, Ruben. But what I was saying is, Beckham has some issues. Like he gave up 2 sacks in this past game. Like I said, I'm not saying like those guys have been better, but Wills is second in giving up sacks in the NFL for tackles. And Wirfs, I haven't paid much attention to besides Thursday night when Mac handled him a couple times.
Yeah, but Wirfs and Wills, they're playing on the right tackle, and they're playing with 2. Well, Tom Brady, it's one of the big.
Yeah, Wills is playing left, but they have that O-line coach that we all liked in Callahan. I was hoping that he would go to the Giants.
Well, I heard Colombo in the last press conference that he's saying that he's gonna push Thomas to go back to the level that he thinks he's gonna play. So
Yeah.
I believe in Colombo, man. He's doing a good job with Nick Gates. He's playing amazing. I mean, the game of Nick Gates against the Eagles is awesome, man. If you check, wow.
Yeah. Now, how do you think how have you handled Will? Because people for some reason in the beginning of the year were hating on Will Hernandez,
I
and
think
I know he's friendly with you guys, but I was like, I think people's expectations need to change for Will Hernandez. He's never going to be the best. He's been good, but he's never going to be the absolute best. But I think he's been good, but people's expectations for him because he was picked in the second round and gassed up, I think that has made people like him. But I look at him this year, I'm like, man, he moves people in the run game. In the passing game, there's been some bad plays here and there, but he's not getting just beat, like, you know what I mean? So it's frustrating because we give up most pressures, but honestly, it's mostly coming from Thomas and Fleming, you know? So I think there's a lot of frustration, and we're getting blitzed like crazy too.
Yeah, I talked with him the other day by WhatsApp because we talk sometimes, and he told me it's about time. I mean, he feels more comfortable now with Nick Gates. He's his best friend on the team on
Yeah.
the right side. He's really positive about just time to get like all together, good connection. And I mean, in the center of the offensive line, we are playing pretty good with Zeitler, Nick Gates, and Will. I think the tackles is gonna get a little bit of time. Maybe we wanna try in the right tackle Matt Pert because
Yeah.
he got good snaps in some games. So I'm pretty positive with the O line. I mean, we had really tough games against really good pass rushers like Khalil Mack, like Aaron Donald. Uh,
We played the best. We played like the. I'll show you, Ruben.
it's so, yeah, yeah, yeah.
I'll pull up. I'll try and pull up the stats. I mean, it has been trial by
It's brutal.
fire. Like it has
Brutal.
been. It has been totally brutal. I mean, let's look at the teams that team sacks per game this year. Pittsburgh number 1.
Mm-hmm.
Philadelphia number 4. Rams number 5. Washington number 6. Where else is it? Where else on here? Cowboys.
Chicago.
Yeah, where is Chicago?
Well, Khalil Mack, it's unstoppable, man.
Chicago's only 16, but it's at 2.3. I want to see the totals. But even like Chicago, even if they're not top, like they have Khalil Mack and Robert Quinn, they have good defensive tackles. And then we played Tampa Bay this week. I mean, it has been trial by fire. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, Andrew Thomas went.
It has been.
Andrew Thomas went to Harvard, passing by the high school. You know.
Yeah, man, it has been just absolutely brutal. Like now, there's no like there's been games where we should have won, and there's no excuses. And not to say that like, hey, Fleming's not good, Thomas hasn't been good. I still have faith on him, but it's frustrating.
Yeah, but if you check
moment.
the game, if you check the game against the Rams, for example, that we had this interception of Daniel, that we had the game in that play.
Yeah.
The Rams totally destroyed the Bears, and the Bears won the backs. At the end, it's not that far away we are from winning games, I think. You know?
If it was last year's schedule was very easy and we lost those games, and that was like this year's. If we had last year's schedule this year, we probably win a couple more games. Doesn't mean we're a better team, but
I think we are really better team this year than the last year.
I do too. Just because the defense last year, the defense was so brutal. The thing is I don't like Jason Garrett at all, and that's what
me too.
I don't
like it so much.
It's even if you don't believe, like because there's a lot of people who don't believe in Jones, and I'm not like saying you're wrong to not believe in him, but Jason Garrett can't be the offensive coordinator, and that bothers me that he got that job because he doesn't do anything new. He plays to what he likes instead of what Daniel Jones likes. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Who is one, since we're talking about trades and stuff? Okay, here we go. Ruben, were you looking forward to OBJ versus the Giants later this season? Really sucked you're going to miss that now.
Yeah, man. I mean, OBG could be a Hall of Fame if he had the 3 years he had in the Giants at this level. But the injury against the Chargers, they broke the ankle, all the thing with the trade going to the Browns, this injury, it's really sad, man. He had all the tools to be a Hall of Fame wide receiver, really, really special player, but at the end, really bad luck for him. And it's really pity we cannot see him playing in the MetLife again against us because it could be a really, really funny game, no?
Yeah, and that's why like Odell had a good few games to start this year, and
Mhm.
people are like, "Oh, why did we do this?" And I was just like, remember the reasons why, like the injuries, like all the not just like when people bring him up, they bring up like, oh, the kicking net or stuff like that. Don't don't bring that up. That stuff's kind of annoying, but it's not a big deal. Bring up the fact that he went on ESPN without telling the team and trashed his team on national TV before a game. And the fourth game or the fifth game of a brand new head coach in Pat Shermer went on TV and trashed him.
Yeah, last
Um,
last year he was partying in Monaco for the GP for the Grand Prix. I had a friend. She is always traveling for these big events like a Paris, and he told me, "Hey, Ruben, this is this guy. You follow him on Instagram?" And say, "Yes, he's a Giants player." Oh, okay, my my friend was partying with her on his boat, so he likes parties. He liked
yeah, which is
this.
fine, but it's like
Yeah,
it was a lot with Odell. It was a lot with Odell.
yeah. I think he fits more in LA with the Hollywood thing. No, of
Yeah, and he hates Cleveland. I think a lot of people have pointed that out.
course.
What do we got? Let's see. We'll go 5 more minutes before I let the football grump in. And I'll share your I'll share your channel again in a second. Let me find a good question we can hit up on. Okay. Should the Giants fire sell people with expiring contracts this year? So I'll change that question into who is one player that, and you can't say Golden Tate because Golden Tate's the easy question. Who is one player that you would be okay with trading, whether it's Zeitler or Peppers or like who is one player that you would be okay with trading that is a decent and good player?
Evan Engram, man. I mean, I lost all the faith in him. I think we didn't have one player in the history of this franchise that the fans had more patience with him. I mean, every year, it's gonna be the amazing year of Evan Engram. He's gonna be awesome. He's gonna make 8 touchdowns. Injury. I don't know, man. It's like I think Justin said on the last podcast. I think Eli Manning was making him like a great player with all these throws to him all the time. They play in Ole Miss, maybe this connection, I don't know, both. But I think Evan Engram had all the chances in the world, and in the last game, he lost all the faith. And in the end, if we can have a third round or fourth round back with us, and we can select good players in the next draft for keep constructing a good and young team, could be amazing. I don't know. I'm totally I'm totally out of Evan Engram.
Yeah. My thing is, and I'll probably talk about this with the football grump when he gets on. He's actually in the waiting room, so we'll get him on in a couple minutes. Is his market will never be lower than it is right now.
Yeah,
So part of me wants to wait till the offseason because I know NFL teams they can convince themselves that they will fix Evan Engram and they'll use him the perfect way. And I don't even think they're wrong, to think that. Um, so that's why it's like I want to wait till the offseason because like think about Olivier Vernon like that year. Like he was banged up and stuff, but like I don't think you get Olivier Vernon for Kevin Zeitler in season, and we did in the offseason, and that was probably the most
good
well
trade.
received. Like that was the best Dave Gettleman move. Like
Hmm.
when we had Zeitler on, he flat out said like, "Hey, like," or we told him like, you are the most loved Dave Gettleman move. Like you're the only move that Dave Gettleman has ever made that everyone was just happy about.
Absolutely. Yeah,
um,
it was
so
a
go
good
ahead.
trade.
Now, but I'll let you. We'll go, I'm going to kick you off in a second, Ruben. What I want to say is you were friendly with Will Hernandez. He works out with Nick Gates in Las Vegas in the offseason. Now, a little birdie has told me, Ruben, that Nick Gates' family watches my videos and they like me. So
Oh
I'm
man,
thinking, Ruben, we got to get you this offseason to America, and we got to go to Las Vegas and hang out with Nick and Will in the offseason.
let's do it, man. It will be amazing. Be in the pool of the Cesar Palace or
I'll
something like
clean the
that.
pool. I still remember how to do all that.
Yeah, man, they are great guys, both really humble, good people. So I'm sure we can do something together with Will Hernandez and Nick Gates.
For sure. All right, Ruben. Now I put you in the channel and stuff. where can people follow you guys and find your guys' podcast and all that good stuff?
Yeah, as you know, it's Zona Gigantes, the only podcast of the Giants in Spanish. So if you are Hispanic, if you speak Spanish, I really recommend to be in our channel of YouTube. Also, we stream every game live, play by play, not with the image, but we put like a game cast, and we always been like center of the all Hispanic people. If you want to talk about Giants, if you want to comment the games, the people really like these things. And we are on podcast. We are on Spotify, in all the different podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Zona Gigantes. And you can follow me in Ruben F. Vargas. And also we are on Twitter and all the social media, Zona Gigantes, like Giant Zone in Spanish.
Yeah, unfortunately, all my Hispanic friends are Raiders fans. They got indoctrinated by another friend of mine. But if every time I meet a new Hispanic person, I try and give them a Talking Giants magnet to get them on early and get them over to your podcast. So Ruben, thanks for coming on, man. We'll definitely do this again soon.
It's been a pleasure, Bobby, and all the followers of Talking Giants. This is probably the best podcast of the Giants. So keep going and let's go Giants.
Thank you, my brother. Or gracias, mi hermano.
Ciao, adios.
All right, thanks, Ruben, for coming on. I love Ruben. He's been following us since day one. He's super nice, super supportive. He's a good dude. Now we're gonna get some questions. The football grump. We've had him on. He does a Just Giants podcast. I'll share the link. They don't do a YouTube, but they do a great podcast. I like to get him on. He's just somebody. There's probably like 2 or 3 people who all DM and be like, "Hey, what do you think of this? Like, is this am I wrong in saying this?" Because he does his homework. Let me bring him in. What's going on, dude? I just gassed you up. I like your Halloween costume.
Thanks, man. Yeah, the mustache was part of a Halloween costume. I wasn't expecting to being videoed, so I had to throw on half of it so it at least has a backstory and not just a weird mustache,
I like it. I've been in some dumb situations like that before. It's all good. Yeah. Dude, we'll get into some questions in a second. What are your thoughts on Evan Engram? You're cool. You are level-headed. You're not hot takey. You've watched the film. You go over things. What do you think of the Evan Engram dilemma? Because I said it on the reaction pod. If it's not one thing, it's another. Describes one player. It seems to be Evan Engram.
Evan Engram. Well, actually, my co-host I think said it the best. The Cranky Fan said, "I think it's time for us to stop worrying about the idea of Evan Engram and start worrying about the reality of Evan Engram." And that is the typical mismatch nightmare, speed height guy. I think it's time that we realize that he's got tools, but they're not developed, and they're still not developed. I think he has trouble catching. You know what I mean? Simple stuff. Earlier in the year, he fumbled like a reverse in the backfield. It was 100% on him. The interception in the last game, 100% on him. And, a game-sealing catch. And at first, I thought maybe I was being a little overreactive. I was like, was that really game-saving? It was 100% game-saving. I mean, even if he just catches that and kneels right there, I think Philadelphia has 1 timeout left, and we're already in field goal range at that point. As far as what to do with him, I think you listen to offers, sure, but I'm not even sure that I'm not 100% certain that a team goes out and spends wild to get him next year. I think that there's a chance that he stays a Giant. I mean, it really depends on what his free agent market is worth. And so far, he hasn't really put a whole lot there to be worth a lot. I mean, just looking at his stats, I'm pretty certain, I would say like 75% sure that some team is going to try and, exactly as you just said, think that they can put it together. They can give him the right routes and or maybe there's a team that just needs one more guy, one more offensive threat. I think that they'll probably give him the money that he's seeking that we're not willing to spend. But if I'm a GM and I'm looking at him, I'm not offering him a whole lot of money. That's just me.
Yeah, I agree, but I would have said Olivier Vernon 2 days before we traded him for Kevin Zeitler, we were saying he's going to get cut. Like, no one's going to get bite at this. Like, we were talking like he's not even going to get a seventh. Like, we're not even going to be able to get a seventh rounder for this guy. And we got an all-pro guard in Kevin Zeitler. I know he hasn't been like his normal self this year, but he hasn't been like a total liability. So that's also me just being like not wanting to sell low and.
Well, I mean, also we're halfway through the year. A lot can change in half a year, especially narratives. From week to week, narratives in the NFL change.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Let's see if I can get some questions going through. Okay. Let's start with this. Let's talk about Jones. The quarterback is always the hot topic. Actually, before that, I want to ask you, how's Crank doing after that game last night?
I haven't spoken to him.
I wouldn't either.
I try to give him 24 hours. That's a tough pill to swallow. I think they played really well in the World Series. To be honest, I don't know if a whole lot of people had the Rays going to the World Series and bringing it to 5 games.
Six.
But
yeah,
six
still.
games.
Yeah. I can't wait to. I like listening to your guys' podcast, but I'll be honest, I'm going to be listening a little earlier just because I want to hear his Rays rant.
Yeah, he'll go on it, I'm sure.
Jones, though, how have you felt? Me and you talked about Garrett this last game. Nothing that made you like go, oh wow, Jason Garrett's turning around. But I actually thought he had a solid game plan for this week, and I don't know how much Shepard had to do with that. But how do you feel about Jones after? It wasn't a spectacular game, but it was, a good game from him.
I thought it was a great game from him. On my show, we hand out stars and farts after each game. And Daniel Jones hasn't gotten a single star yet this year until this game. I gave him a star. I think if it weren't for Evan Engram doing things that a first-round pick should be able to do, like not cause the interception, make that game-stealing catch, I think Daniel Jones' game looks even better. He's at least 22 of 30 for over 200 yards, for at least 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. He's got 92 yards on the ground. I thought he made good decisions in this game. I think that Jason Garrett's game plan helped a lot. I think that what we saw in that Thursday night matchup is suited to what Daniel Jones does best, and that's look downfield. And we saw a lot more routes run downfield. It's still not where I want it, but it's leaps and bounds over what we saw a couple weeks ago. I thought Daniel Jones played probably the best game of the year so far.
For him,
Thursday.
yeah, definitely for this season. I pointed out because I've been doing that third down video, and I love doing the third down video because I really do think third down is when you can find out a ton about a player. And I know that last play to Engram that he dropped, I was like, this is a really nice play. It's nothing special, but it's a nice play design where it's like, hey, if the safety play stays middle, you're not going to have Slayton on that dig. And then you look, like how do they play Shepard on the whip? If they play under, or you got man, like I don't want to get all nerdy, but I love that. And they actually did that earlier in the game, just to the opposite side, and Shepard had a first down. So like just concepts like that. It's like I want to see more of that.
Well, I think also. We could talk at length about how Engram dropped it and what could have been. But the thing is that the concept worked. The play worked. Engram was open. And, I think that's the more important thing. And, I know that, like, even if they win this game, Giants fans would temper enthusiasm by saying it's just the Eagles. They're hurt really bad. Their defense isn't hurt. Their defense is pretty healthy.
Yeah.
So that was honestly a good game plan from Jason Garrett.
Yeah, they're like the 4th rank. Like I think they're like top 3 or 4 in sacks. We were just going through with Ruben. Lax 044 asked a question. He says, "Do you see Joe Thomas's take on Andrew Thomas?" So, did you read what Joe Thomas said on him and what Paul Alexander, the guy who was training? Did you read that by chance?
No, I did not. I did see that there was a bunch of takes about Andrew Thomas today. And, everybody and their mother had an opinion on Mark Colombo and his former O-line coach, I think, at Georgia, yeah?
Yeah, the Paul Alexander, he was working with them in the combine, but he watched all that film. I'm going to see if I could find it so I could read the quotes.
Okay.
Basically, what he was saying, though, and honestly, as somebody who likes Andrew Thomas, I actually disagreed with it. He said, like, he's like, I was watching him, and they've got him doing like these like machine gun punches and this stuff, and he's like, he just needs to go back and do what he was doing at Georgia.
Yeah, I did see that quote. I didn't read the whole context though, so I didn't.
That's basically what it was, and I actually disagreed with him because it's like, no, the reason they have him doing that stuff is because him doing like what he did week 1 against the Steelers is what he did against the Georgia, and we loved it. People got a game of film on him, and they realized when you do an inside move on him, one, he over punches, half the time, and that right foot just does not power down. It swings back, which gives you a path to the quarterback. So I disagreed with him. I think I'm not saying Colombo's some great coach, but I like the new things that he's doing because it's forcing him to get rid of bad habits. I just think, and I've been trying to figure out, and I'm trying not to be smarter than I act smarter than I am, but I think every time he punches, I think he should protect the inside every time. Like use that right foot and power down just to protect against that inside. And me and both know he's got the athleticism that if they try and speed rush him at that, he can wash that behind. Now there will be times where, it's going to be, Jones is going to be set up 9-10 yards and it could get him in trouble. Yeah, but I think for the most part, he has the athleticism to protect against that.
Yeah, I would agree with you there. I mean, I think that he has the tools to make up for undersetting, cheating towards the inside move. I think another thing is, and I went through, I know you did too, I went through every offensive play and I looked at the entire offensive line. And Andrew Thomas is the biggest culprit in the last game and the last several games, but he's not the only culprit. I mean, there are times when his bad play, if you look around the league, there are guys who screw up blocks, but because the rest of the line does their job, there's a path for the quarterback to escape.
Yeah.
Cam Fleming's screw-ups leaves nowhere for Jones to go when both tackles break down. And I'm not saying it's Cam Fleming's fault. I'm saying if we had I don't want to say competent, if we had a steady right tackle, I think that we freak out a little bit less about Andrew Thomas and his rookie growing pains that are totally normal.
And I'll say I've watched every snap of Mekhi Becton this year. It's the opposite for him. The right side is so bad that it saves him because I've seen like times where Becton they're getting around him like about 7, 8 yards of depth, which isn't necessarily bad on a lot of plays. But there is plays where it's like, oh, he could have given him a sack here. But Darnold's already like running around and doing spin moves in the backfield. It's like Darnold's already just been gone for like 2 seconds at this point.
I think the other thing with Becton though, it wasn't so much like, I mean, I can only speak for myself, I guess, but I didn't think he would be bad. It was just, for me, it was very high risk taking a guy like that. I thought that there were more bust potential there. And I think the state of the Giants, and especially the state of Dave Gettleman, taking a high risk, just not something they could afford at this time. If it were GM with my line, I wouldn't.
You're breaking up a little bit.
Shit. Am I still?
Yeah, I mean, I can get the gist of what you're saying. You're saying Becton was high. I think you're good. Hold on. Say something. Uh-oh. I'm not saying. Yeah, you're kind of frozen right now.
Hello? Sorry. This isn't my usual stuff, so.
Hold on 1 second. Say something.
Hello?
Yeah, you're breaking up really bad.
Listening to fuck.
Try let me try something.
Hello?
Sorry about this.
Nope.
Hello. Yeah, I think we have to move on. That stinks. I'm seeing a lot of Kenny Golladay stuff in the chat. That's pretty crazy. That is the one. Here we go. You good?
Hello?
I got you. Your voice isn't matching your movements.
That's interesting.
but I think we can work with that.
Okay, I'm sorry about that. But yeah, you got
That's
the gist of my Beckham thing.
Yeah. So I wanted to talk about Andrew Thomas for a little bit, but got some breaking news in the chat. Reports just came out that the Giants are looking to trade for Kenny Galladay. I have two people different commenting that. Let me check because I said Jordan Raanan, and I know my chat can be trolls sometimes. So let me. I don't see Jordan Raanan saying that. Do you guys have a link? Do you guys have a link in there? Because I'm not seeing that. Are you guys trolling me? Yeah, I think he's trolling us. But here, you're better now. I'll say this though, but since the topic's up, I think we should be sellers. I don't think we should be buyers.
Yeah.
But a receiver, it might be the one position where I would be a buyer because you can extend them. It's going to be highly contested for them in the offseason, I think. He said it in his podcast, which makes sense because he did just release a podcast. But what do you do you think that would be a bad idea to trade for a wide receiver?
I think you listen to all offers. I mean, it depends on what the offer is. Assets are a thing that this team needs. I mean, if you look at the offense, how many positions of need do you think that there are? If it's more than two, then you need to acquire assets.
Yeah.
That being said, Kenny Galladay fills that asset. I mean, if you can get him for, I don't know, usually when you trade draft picks for players, I try to think of what player at that position in the draft you're kind of looking at being available. And it's really premature to do that ever, right? Because it's before the trade deadline. A lot can happen in college between now and I mean, it could tear ACLs, but Kenny Galladay is a guy that's, I would say, is a proven commodity that would definitely help this offense. And I think if you can get him for a third, you'd absolutely do it.
I would for sure. And I'm not super familiar with Galladay. I know of him, but I'm not going to pretend I got sitting here and looked at. But he's big. He makes contested catches. He turns 27 in 5 days, so it's even different than like Allen Robinson, who I think is a little bit older, right? I could be wrong.
I think you're right.
I mean, he's hit free agency once. So Galladay, he's in his fourth year, so like he needs an extension. That's the thing, though. Is I feel like you have to get a deal done. Like I think it needs to be one of those things where it's like you trade for him and then you sign him, not like a Leonard Williams situation where you wait until the offseason.
Probably. Another thing to remember is that we'll have more money to move around next year anyway. Even if it's not right away, because I think they save even more money if they cut Nate Solder post June 1st. So there's still more leeway for doing a trade like that where you can extend somebody immediately after, where it's not a quote unquote rental. Which, by the way, Leonard Williams has been playing out of his mind this whole year.
Yeah, he has. But that actually, now I'm thinking, it doesn't make sense. The Lions just traded for Everson Griffin who's on a 1-year deal, so that wouldn't make sense for them to be selling. I don't know. Why would
I don't think the Lions have made much sense as an organization for quite a while now. That's
true.
That's not even me being a troll. I just mean in general. Like I've been wondering what the hell they've been doing for years.
Yeah. Okuda, I wonder if I know he wasn't playing the first couple of weeks, but nonetheless, what was I going to say? Let's answer some questions. We've okay.
But you wanted to talk about Thomas, yeah? Oh, okay.
This was, you can envision Parrott and Thomas flipping sides down the line. Now, I said, people went crazy after that Parrott game against Washington. I said they don't have any film on him. They had no preparation for him. And I was like, he opens his hips immediately, and guys are going to get around him to the edge. He played 4 snaps at right tackle. He had 2 at jumbo tight end. I don't count those as real pass reps. He had 4 snaps and he gave up a sack. And it was basically, what I said, and not just me, everyone, Baldy talked about it. He gives up, he protects the inside, which is nice, but because he does that, he can get beat around the edge. But are you cool with the idea of, we'll start with, are you ready to start Parrott at right tackle full time? We'll start with that.
No. I'm not ready to start him at right tackle full time. I think he should be getting practice reps, and they should be. I think Cam Fleming has played as mediocrity, as mediocre as you could imagine when he was signed. so far. So they should be seeing if Parrott is ever showing enough in practice to make that replacement for game day. I'm not privy to that stuff. What I've seen on game day has not led me to believe that he's ready to take on the right tackle spot anytime soon, especially since Andrew Thomas isn't dominating on the left side. I think you make that switch a little bit earlier if Thomas has proven his worth and that he's some dominant left tackle. That hasn't happened, so I'm hesitant to screw around with any other parts of the line right now. I don't know how you feel.
I would be cool with starting him at right tackle just because there is some stuff I like there, but I do agree with you that it's not like they need to do it right now. Mm-hmm. Now, people have said because Parrott is, taller, that maybe he should play left tackle and right tackle. That's an overreaction, right? Like that's I think that's crazy. I just do. I think that, not to say Thomas ends up struggling, you do move in the right tackle eventually. But I think this idea of we need to play Parrott at left now and Thomas at right, I feel like that is bananas. Tell me I'm right.
Well, I mean, we're talking about two different things here, right? Saying that we need to do this is that's an overreaction. That's craziness. I'm not ready to put Matt Parrott over there to protect the blind side mid-season and screw around with anything based on what I've seen so far. Now, down the line, can I envision that? I can envision that. I can envision a time where Parrott gets his his technical stuff worked out, his footwork worked out, and he lets his athleticism kind of take over, and perhaps he is a better fit for left side, and Thomas winds up just being a better right tackle. That's absolutely something that I could see at some point. This year, definitely not. I wouldn't even say next year. I would say that's looking at something 3 years down the line, and we start having the conversation, did we screw up by using our first-round pick for the right side? Does it even matter? That kind of conversation. But I could see it. Yeah, I think he has the athleticism, and he needs, he played at UConn. It's not really like a big football program where he had the best coaches, the best weight rooms, the best everything. I think he could grow into being a left tackle. It could happen. I'm not counting on it. I'm not worried about it. We'll say it like that.
Right. All right, so there's some Lemieux and Zeitler stuff where we're really hitting the O-line on OGR Sports. Go give him a subscribe, by the way, people in the chat. He has a great channel. He's support. He said, it may be a foolish question. If Zeitler is traded, do you think Lemieux automatically gets those reps? Or do we see it's a Slade situation? I think there could be a different situation than that. But I'll kick it off with this, and we'll go from there. Are you cool with trading Zeitler for a day 3 pick?
Probably not. I mean, even if it's a 4, I don't like the idea of fucking around with the line right now. I mean, this line isn't playing well enough. I'm all, my big argument for taking a tackle at 4 and not Simmons or whomever was that Daniel Jones is your franchise, whether he's a franchise quarterback or not, and protecting him needs to be your number one priority. I don't know that getting rid of a guy who's playing right in front of him is the right move. Now, if the offer is a day 2 pick, then I'm obviously going to listen. I don't know how you feel, but that's me. I'm worried about Jones more than draft picks.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. My line has been, I don't think making this offensive line worse on purpose is a good idea. That's what I'm saying. Now,
right.
Like you said, a day 2 pick, you think about it. You know what I'm saying? But I'm not. I don't want to make this offensive line worse. And people are like, oh, well, he can be a cap cut in the offseason. He's someone I would be fine paying. Like, yeah, that's one that's the offseason there. Well, the idea is you don't want to lose somebody for nothing. But for me, I would be fine bringing Zeitler back. Like, who's to say we don't spend money on a good right guard, and bring him back? And I think it's you know how it goes. The backups and the rookies, 5th round, they always are going to get overrated, and we got to play them now. Like Lemieux, I like Lemieux, but he has some issues. Like honestly, like people, I've said this. People can't stand Will Hernandez, and I think it's just a matter of his expectation. Like he's not going to be that all-pro, Pro Bowl every year guard that we had expectations for. I think he's just an above-average guard, and that's okay. But Lemieux at Oregon reminds me of Hernandez in the NFL. And that's like I'm not sold on like Lemieux is ready to go right now. And honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if they played Pulley over him and even slided Gates over to guard or something. Because like I like Gates. Everyone knows I like Gates. I think he can be a center long term, but I do think he'd probably be a better at guard than center just because it's an easier position. Guard is easier, is the easiest position on the line, and we're very confident that he could be good there. Where center, I've liked what I've seen out of him, but it's not like we've got our center for the next 10 years type of thing. So I wouldn't be surprised if they did something like that. I don't know. But Colombo at the same time said today that Lemieux, they want to play him at some point. So I don't know what to think of that.
Well, here's the other thing. Has Lemieux ever played on the right side? I believe he's played left guard his whole time at Oregon.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not a switch that fans should take lightly, especially when, it's one thing when we say Andrew Thomas played right tackle for a year at Georgia and then went to left. I mean, there's some familiarity there. There's at least some comfort in being uncomfortable, to use a line that McAdoo used to use. It's just, being able to switch gears in your brain. When a guy has played one position for 4 straight years, to think that he's just going to be able to reverse all of it suddenly at a higher level of play, that's something that I think fans just think is possible, that linemen like Jeff Schwartz say it's a huge difference.
Yeah, I agree. I do think it's easier. I agree that it's not easy as people make it sound to be, but I also don't think it's as hard as people make it out to be too.
Well, that too. But again, we're talking about a rookie coming from the Pac-12, switching for the first time in his life, switching positions to the other side mid-season. I mean, it's a lot of things to throw on a plate. Yeah. I would have been surprised if he got any reps at left guard, this year. Like even if Hernandez got hurt, I would have been surprised if he popped in there.
Yeah, I mean, Slade was active over him to start the season. I think they've changed that, and they've given Lemieux like 2 fullback reps this year. Which, by the way, I'm a big believer in this, and I think every team should invest in a real fullback. Like, and they obviously don't think Penny is because they're using Caden Smith as a fullback, and I get there's advantages to having 2 tight ends out there, and it doesn't allow the defense to bring okay, they got a fullback in, bring in the extra linebacker or extra D lineman kind of thing, where 2 tight ends makes it different. But I think every NFL team should invest in a true fullback, not converted running backs, not converted tight ends, a true fullback. And I think even not top 3 rounds, but I think draft, why not? And the 49ers have done it with Juszczyk. They've given him a $4 million contract. And I don't know. I don't know how I got on this rant. Basically what I'm saying is I hope the Giants go out and get a real fullback in the offseason. I said I would draft Ben Mason from Michigan. I remember watching Ruiz, the center, last offseason. I was like, this fullback is freaking real deal. And then I was watching him again on Saturday against Minnesota. And then I found out he has a John Boy Media connection, which would be cool business-wise for me too. So Ben Mason, he's going to be in my 6th round mock draft this year, guaranteed.
There you go. I'm kind of with you. I mean, I think teams shouldn't invest in anything they're not going to use because you only get 53 players. So that's why I find it puzzling that Penny's even on the roster. Not that I don't like him, but he's used almost exclusively like special teams. That's like it. Yeah. And that's the majority of his snaps now. And I don't understand that. But I agree with you. If you're going to line up a fullback, get yourself a fullback. There are quality fullbacks Henry Hynoski was like one of my favorite players when he was here. And I, to this day, don't really know why he didn't stay.
He's getting a lot of hate this week because Mondre Harper had the late hit on Deshaun Jackson. And there must be something out there with the Giants roster where it's it just hasn't been updated in 6 years because Hynoski is getting tweets about how he's a scumbag for hitting Deshaun Jackson late. And then Rashad Jennings was getting tweets and stuff at him for saying because they thought he was the one who broke Dak's ankle. So I don't know. Waterfly, you say fullback is a dead position in modern NFL. I disagree. It was starting to die, and now it's coming back. Smart teams are bringing it back and using it. All right, let's do a couple more, and we'll roll. Okay. Let's do this one. Okay, OGR getting some love on this one. One of the biggest knocks on Daniel I see from others is he red stripping, a.k.a. staring down. Do you see him improving on it? P.S. I'm a patient fan, and I believe letting guys develop. I'll kick it to you in a second. Mark Schlereth, and I think me and you, I'm not an announcer hater. A lot of people like they can't be happy with announcers. I'm not that way. Mark Schlereth, I can't stand him. When I saw that he was on the call for the Washington game, I was like, oh God. Like I think he's a nice guy, but like when the Thomas play was like he took a right step first on that. Like, dude, that's a hinge block. Like, I get you didn't play tackle, you played guard, but it's like that gets taught at every level. The hinge block on the back. Like, how do you not know that? And he just got so locked in onto that one take of like Jones staring his guys down while it's in like they're going slow motion through his progressions. And he even said it on the play where none of the receivers ran routes, where it was supposed to be an RPO and the receiver didn't run the route. He's like, look, Jones staring him down. This sack's his fault. It's like, Mark, there's literally nobody even running routes.
I'm an announcer hater, and we have played our way to the D-level CBS and Fox announcing crew, unless we play somebody like Dallas, and we're lucky enough to get Tony Romo, who is the best in the game right now. Those knocks on Daniel Jones are not knocks that he had coming out of college at all. And they weren't knocks on him last year. I think what we saw, and this is a thing that people don't want to hear because it sounds like a lazy thing, and it's just something that they have to be patient with and just accept. But I think what we saw is a new offense for this guy that wasn't working, by the way. We had early on in the year receivers not running the right routes. The concepts were bonkers. I mean, you could write a dissertation on Jason Garrett's offense through the first 6 weeks of this season. And Daniel Jones just kind of trying to figure things out on the job. I think if you had a regular off season for him to internalize the playbook, for Jason Garrett to, what I think is actually unleash the full playbook by week 1, week 2, I don't think that we see a whole lot of this red striping that he's being pegged with right now. I think it's honestly a guy who's trying to figure it out on the job, with an offense that's also trying to figure it out on the job, with an offensive coordinator that's trying to figure it out on the job. It's just a mess. And I don't think that we saw a whole lot of that last week. I think we saw Daniel Jones look comfortable. Even if his numbers weren't amazing, he looked more comfortable back there last week against a very good defensive front, mind you.
Yeah. But we also saw Garrett open up some new things, and I hopefully like Shepard did that, but I also was like, you shouldn't need Shepard in the lineup to have to run those things. Like, but anyway, where I'll go is one is you'd be surprised how most QBs are looking at their first read on every play, you know, like that's the way it is. And in an offense like Shermer's and some stuff that we saw this past week against Philly, just because you're looking at one area doesn't mean you're just looking at one wide receiver and hoping he gets open. You're looking at, you could be looking at two defenders and being like, hey, this safety drops out here. This safety comes down. I'm throwing to Engram on the wheel. Or this safety plays, or this corner plays off. The linebacker bites on the whip. Okay, I'm going to, like, it's just because you're looking in one direction doesn't mean you're just staring at one receiver hoping he gets open by the end of the play. And in Garrett's offense, where, we've seen a lot of these like all curls or the stick, there really is no progression. It's more of pre-snap. You need to know where the ball's going, which I actually I have a point. Hopefully I don't forget it. But it's not like when everyone's curling at the same time, there's no progression. You're just like, hey, by this coverage, this is the one guy in this curl that should be open. And if it's not there, it's like you go to your next progression, but that guy's route is already over. So you're hoping it turns into a broken play. And I've thought about this on the interceptions this year. The first one against the Steelers, where he gets hit, falling. That's not a bad read. The one to TJ Watt, that's TJ Watt making a crazy play. Like, that wasn't him making a bad read. Against Chicago, bounces off, Engram slips, bounces up, goes in the air. That's not a bad, like read. The next week was San Fran, the one to Engram on the stick. That was a bad read. He should have seen Warner coming, that Warner was. So that's one. The Rams, as much as he should have ran that freaking ball, that guy he puts that ball on the outside shoulder towards the sideline. That probably ends up a catch, but he should have ran the ball. But it wasn't like a bad, like, oh, he read the coverage wrong. And then where the Dallas didn't have an interception against Dallas. Washington, he's trying to get rid of the ball out of the end zone. And then this past week, Engram drops it. So that's one interception out of 7 where it's like, oh, pre-snap, he didn't know, like he went through the progressions the wrong way and read the defense the wrong way. I know that sounds like excuses, and it kind of is, but it's also like I kind of thought about that this week. It's like he's not like not getting through his progressions right or stuff like that, where last year we did see some of that, where it's like he's like downfield, like, dude, you got to come back down here, and he would force something in and get intercepted, where this year it hasn't been that much. And this year he doesn't have any dropped interceptions like he did last year. I will say that.
I mean, I think there's this weird thing with Daniel Jones now where it's like quarterbacks are suddenly not allowed to turn over the ball. If it's Daniel Jones, it's headline worthy if he fumbles. But if it's Carson Wentz, it's no big deal. Tom Brady throws interceptions. People throw picks. People make mistakes. Defenses are designed to trick quarterbacks. So every time Daniel Jones trips up doesn't need to be a headline, but it is. And yeah. I mean, that's kind of what he's the grave that he's built for himself. But as Giants fans, if you don't want to get frustrated, you need to be the one to look at it and be like, is this really his fault? Is it his fault? You know, the turnovers in the Philly game? Absolutely not.
Right. And it's just the fumbles I will give more credence to, because now they haven't been as bad as last year, but they still have, you know, he's had.
Oh, I agree.
Like, so it's not like like nothing's his fault kind of thing, but it's like I said going into this year, I'm fine with him getting interceptions as long as he's taking chances. The issue is this offense isn't really a taking chance offense. Last week against Philly, it was, where the touchdown to Tate, that's tight coverage. He threw it. He did it again later in the game, and it ended up being a pass interference on a ball he put perfectly. So my thing is, like, if you're taking chances, I'm cool with that. With the frustrating thing to start this year is, like, we're getting 180 passing yards and we're having turnovers. I think that's the frustration there.
That's fair.
Yeah. Let's see. Let's get one. I just say 30 turnovers, 17 games, or whatever it is. It is ridiculous. But also, fumbles aren't the same as interceptions. They're just not. No. I get that they turn over the ball, but when you evaluate a player, fumbles are just not the same as interceptions. All right, let's get one more question and we'll get rolling. A lot of Kenny Golladay questions. We kind of talked about that already, so catch it when it's done. Okay, it seems like we get this every question. So last year's draft class. Okay, basically, say we're picking any position besides a quarterback. We have our pick of any player. Maybe not even like a certain player, but like what position do you look at like, oh, I want that guy
for this upcoming?
Yeah.
There's a lot of guys I keep my eye on. Obviously, I think everyone's got their eye on Gregory Rousseau, right, from Miami. Jamar Chase as well. I had my eyes on the center from Georgia, whose name I'm blanking on right now.
Oh, and Hill, I think, right?
Yeah, I think it's Hill. He caught my eye when I was watching Thomas last year, and I was like, wow, this dude is a road grader. I mean, I know you're a big Nick Gates guy, and I think he's played way beyond my expectations at center. He's played well this year. But to me, Nick Gates' true talent is his ability to plug and play. If you get yourself a true road grader at center, then you allow Nick Gates to play wherever there's a hole. And you're never going to have an offensive line of 5 round 1 draft picks. So having a guy like Gates is a huge deal.
Yeah.
Well, do they? Did they ever? They had 3.
I count Lael Collins because he was a first round, but okay. They didn't invest the first round, so I know what you're saying.
Yeah, those are the guys I was. Oh, I'm sorry, and the corner from South Carolina, whose name I'm also blanking on, Horn, J.C. Horn, was somebody I had my eye, and he's played as well as I thought he needed to so far. He was a guy I again watched last year, and I thought he's got to step up a little bit, but he's got the tools, and so far he's played really well this year.
And cornerback is the one position I'm scared to draft in the first round, but yeah, he looks absolutely like unreal. And as far as you're saying center, I'm all like, I agree with you on Gates. If they want to go upgrade a center, but I feel like that's like okay, cool. Now we can actually then we can move on from Zeitler and get that money off the books and put Gates at guard. And hell, say you're not able to get a tackle and you don't believe, like, I think Gates could be a pretty damn solid right tackle, to be honest. You know, like I thought when Soldier opted out, I was like, I thought there was a, you know, and they extended Gates right after. I was like, hey, I've been on the Nick Gates for center train, but if they want to play him a right tackle, then do it, because I was never the biggest fan of Cam Fleming. So yeah. All right, we'll get rolling. Let me put all your stuff in the chat one more time. Subscribe to the Just Giants podcast. They do a very good job, very reasonable. If you like reasonable takes, go get on it. And the next one should have a nice rant about Kevin Cash and the Rays, and I'm actually looking forward to that more than the Giants.
I'm sure it will. I'll set aside 15 minutes for him to blow off steam.
I can't wait. I can't wait for it. All right. I appreciate you coming on. Make sure to go follow him if you're on Twitter, all that good stuff. Subscribe to the podcast. I just put the links on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, all that good stuff. Thanks for coming on, dude.
Dude, thanks so much for having me. It's always fun.
For sure. All right. Thanks, guys, for doing this. I'm going to try and do something tomorrow. Probably just do one person 30 minutes. I'm going to ask somebody who would be a really cool guest. It's short notice, so it might be something in the future. But nonetheless, appreciate you guys. And subscribe to OGR Sports, too. He's cool. See you guys.